Hey everyone, and welcome to the Sparkling Travels channel. Picture this. You're finally at the airport, bags packed, passport in hand, about to jet off on that dream vacation. You're buzzing with excitement, right? But then, the unthinkable happens. You hear those dreaded words, "Sorry, you can't board this flight." Can you even imagine? Turns out, getting denied boarding is more common than you might think, and often it's because of totally avoidable mistakes. I mean, who wants to deal with the stress, the frustration, not to mention the huge hit to your wallet from rebooking fees? Not me, and definitely not you. That's why I'm here to break down the top 10 shocking reasons people get denied boarding. By the end of this video, you'll know exactly how to avoid these costly travel mistakes and sail through that boarding gate with confidence. So buckle up, because we're about to take off on a crash course in stress-free travel. Okay, first up, let's talk overbooking. You know how sometimes you go to a restaurant and it's totally packed? Well, airlines do a similar thing with flights. They sometimes sell more tickets than there are seats on the plane. Crazy, right? They do it because historically not everyone who books a flight actually shows up. But here's the thing, sometimes everyone show up. And when that happens, it's like a game of musical chairs. Except instead of chairs, it's your dream vacation on the line. The airline might ask for volunteers to take a later flight in exchange for travel vouchers or other perks. That's called voluntary bumping. But if no one volunteers, that's when things get a little sticky. The airline might have to involuntarily bump passengers, meaning they choose who gets to stay and who gets left behind. Not exactly how you want to start your trip. So how do you avoid being that person? First, check in online as early as possible. The earlier you check in, the less likely you are to be bumped. And here's a hot tip. Join airline loyalty programs. Airlines often prioritize their frequent flyers when it comes to seating. All right, let's talk about everyone's favorite travel document, the passport. Now, this might seem obvious, but you'd be surprised how many people show up at the airport with an expired passport. Talk about a major vacation buzzkill. And it's not just about having a valid passport. You need to make sure you have the right of visa too. Different countries have different visa requirements, and trust me, the last place you want to be is stuck at immigration because of a visa issue. Here's a real head-scratcher: transit visas. Let's say you're flying from the US to Italy, but you have a layover in Iceland. Even if you're just changing planes in Iceland, you might need a transit visa depending on your nationality. Who knew, right? So, what's the solution? Before you even book your flight, do your research. Check the visa requirements for your destination and any countries you'll be transiting through. There are even handy-dandy websites and apps that can help you figure it all out. We've all been there, rushing through the airport, dragging our luggage behind us, desperately hoping we don't miss our flight. But here's the thing. Sometimes being even a little bit late can mean missing your flight altogether. Airports are like their own little cities, and some of them are huge. Getting from security to your gate can feel like running a marathon, especially if you have a connecting flight and have to switch terminals. And speaking of security, let's be real, those lines can be totally unpredictable. You never know when you'll get stuck behind someone who decided to pack their entire kitchen sink in their carry-on. Here's the bottom line. Give yourself plenty of time. I'm talking at least 3 hours for international flights and 2 hours for domestic flights. Better to be safe than sorry, right? Okay, let's talk airport security. We've all been there, shoes off, laptops out, trying to remember if we accidentally packed that bottle of water in our backpack. But sometimes security can be a little more, shall we say. Ever heard of the SSS code? It stands for Secondary Security Screening Selection, and let me tell you, it's not exactly a VIP pass. Passengers with this code on their boarding pass get flagged for additional screening. It could be random, or it could be triggered by things like last-minute one-way tickets, travel to certain countries, or even paying for your ticket in cash. And of course, there are the prohibited items. We all know not to bring weapons or explosives on board, but did you know that even seemingly harmless things like lithium batteries, certain liquids, and even some types of food can get you in trouble? The best way to avoid any security snafus is to follow the rules. Check the TSA website or your airline's website for a list of prohibited items, and when in doubt, leave it out. Staying healthy while traveling is super important, but did you know that your health can actually be a reason for being denied boarding? Now, I'm not talking about having a little sniffle. I'm talking about contagious illnesses and required vaccinations. Some countries have strict health entry requirements to prevent the spread of diseases. For example, some countries in Africa and South America require proof of yellow fever vaccination. If you don't have the necessary documentation, you could be denied entry. And even if your destination doesn't require specific vaccinations, airlines have the right to deny boarding to passengers who appear to be sick. It's all about keeping everyone on board healthy and safe. So, before you pack your bags, check the health entry requirements for your destination. make sure you're up to date on your vaccinations. And if you're feeling under the weather, it might be best to reschedule your trip. Let's be real. Packing is the worst part of traveling, am I right? And nothing adds more stress than trying to cram everything into your suitcase and hoping it doesn't explode at the seams. But here's the thing. Airlines have weight limits for a reason, and going over those limits can cost you literally. Those extra pounds add up, and airlines are cracking down on overweight baggage. Not only can you get hit with hefty fees, but your bag might even get left behind. And let's not forget about carry-on luggage. Those overhead bins fill up fast, and no one wants to be the person gate-checking their bag at the last minute. And then there are the prohibited items. We're not just talking about weapons here, people. Things like lithium batteries, sharp objects, and even certain liquids and gels have to be packed in a specific way, or, in some cases, left at home. So, how do you avoid a baggage disaster? First, weigh your luggage you get to the airport. Invest in a portable luggage scale or use the one at your local post office. And when it comes to packing, remember the golden rule. When in doubt, leave it out. All right, you've made it to the airport on time, you've got your passport and visa, your bags are packed perfectly, and then disaster strikes. You hand over your ticket, and the airline agent gives you that dreaded look. I'm sorry, they say, but there seems to be a problem with your ticket. One of the most common reasons people get denied boarding is because of incorrect ticket details. It could be a misspelled name, the wrong passport number, or even the wrong date of birth. And trust me, these mistakes can be a real nightmare to fix, especially at the last minute. So what's the solution? Double, triple check every single detail on your ticket before you even think about heading to the airport. Make sure your name matches your passport exactly, and I mean exactly, including any middle names or initials. Airports can be stressful places. We're all tired, we're all hungry, and we just want to get to our destination. But here's the thing. Taking out your frustration on airline staff or fellow passengers is never okay. Airlines have a zero-tolerance policy for unruly behavior, and rightfully so. Whether it's yelling at a gate agent, refusing to follow instructions, or, heaven forbid, getting into a physical altercation, disruptive behavior can get you banned from a flight faster than you can say turbulence. And it's not just about being on your best behavior at the gate. Once you're on board, it's important to be respectful of your fellow passengers and the flight crew. That means keeping your shoes on, unless you're lucky enough to be in first class, using your inside voice, and definitely not joining the Mile High Club. We've all been there. You're sitting at the gate, eagerly awaiting your flight, and then you hear those dreaded words. Your flight has been delayed. Delays and cancellations are an unfortunate reality of air travel, and sometimes they can lead to passengers being denied boarding. Now, I know what you're thinking. How can a delayed flight get you denied boarding? Well, it all comes down to connecting flights. If your first flight is delayed and you miss your connecting flight, you might find yourself stranded at the airport, watching your dream vacation fly away without you. And then there are the operational issues. Sometimes airlines have to make last-minute changes to flights due to things like weight and balance restrictions or mechanical problems. In these cases, they might have to remove passengers from a flight to ensure everyone's safety. So, what can you do? First, try to book flights with plenty of connection time. And if you do experience a delay or cancellation, stay calm and contact your airline immediately to explore your options. We can't control the weather, no matter how much we wish we could. And unfortunately, Mother Nature has a way of throwing a wrench into even the most carefully planned travel itineraries. From blizzards to hurricanes to good old-fashioned thunderstorms, severe weather conditions can cause flight delays and cancellations, and in some cases, they can even lead to passengers being denied boarding. Airlines take weather very seriously, and for good reason. They'd rather delay or cancel a flight than risk the safety of their passengers and crew. So if you're heading to the airport and the weather's looking a little dicey, it's a good idea to check your flight status before you leave home. And here's a pro tip: sign up for flight alerts from your airline. That way, you'll be notified of any changes or cancellations as soon as possible. So there you have it, folks. The top 10 shocking reasons you can be denied boarding, and more importantly, how to avoid them. Remember, a little planning and preparation can go a long way in ensuring a smooth and stress-free travel experience. Now I'm curious. Have you ever been denied boarding? What happened? Share your experience in the comments below. And while you're there, don't forget to give this video a big thumbs up and subscribe to the Sparkling Travels channel for more travel tips, tricks, and adventures. Hit that notification bell so you never miss an episode. Happy travels!